Hit record then. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to coaching. I'm wearing a sweater this morning. I'm wearing a sweater. Yesterday, I was in St. George. It was hot. I had the air conditioning going, blasting the AC. And here we are on May 4th. And I had to put a freaking sweater on because it's winter here. Drove up from St. George last night, and I have to admit I'm happy to be in my office, at least my main office, and be with you guys this morning. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to coaching, and welcome to this crazy weather we have here in Utah, where we go from summer to winter in one day. And if you really want a high dose of sunshine, just remember we have a beautiful office in St. George. You're welcome to work from. Okay, today we're mastering the this art of being a good presenter. I'm on page in the coaching manual. We're going to be starting on page 91. So looks like this. Whoops, not my email. Sorry. Oh, not that. Oh, not that. Okay, Adobe. There, this one. Okay, so this I called it "In It to Win It." That might be a little more salesy for the evolution process of my thinking than I liked when I first wrote the title. But if you guys remember, there was the I guess the game on TV called "In It to Win It," and I thought that was a nice title. What we're going to do is we're looking at data today to back up some of our theories about how we become better marketing agents. And so this is kind of our first data point here below. I'm going to review these objectives, and then I want to tell you about a presentation I had yesterday. So here's our objectives today. I think it's to create more purpose in our prospecting and the way we go about finding opportunities to help someone, which really is what prospecting should be. We are to be better able to identify the primary reasons why sellers sell. And the reason that's important is because it helps us with our how we do things and our what we do when we understand their why and their real big objective, right? So there's that what and how underneath our why. Understanding the important factors of real estate. I mentioned them on sales meeting yesterday, and these should be memorized. I think they should just be bang right off the top of your head. So I'll remind everybody about what those are. And then overall, I think this improves our confidence when we present and when we prospect for business. I think if you're real excited about your presentation, you want to give it. And so before I go to graph number 1, let me stop sharing for a second. I brought this up before about the importance of discovery. So how many of you have heard the statement that we should listen with the intent to understand before and the intent to reply? Have you heard that before? That the intent to understand, not the intent to reply. How many of you struggle with that a little bit? Yeah, because you're thinking like, oh, like I have a similar story, right? Or a similar experience. Does that happen? Yeah, Doug, Wendy, you're nodding. Lisa, Cindy, you're the only ones who've showered this morning. Sochi has showered also. So I commend you for that. So they get the one-on-one conversation this morning. I have a rationale behind this, because we're trying to connect also, right? So this idea of connecting with someone, like there's commonality. I think it pulls us to sometimes spend too much time talking about us, right? So how do you manage that a little bit? How do you make sure you're not talking too much about yourself in order to find commonality, but you're spending more time talking about them, what they're after, their objectives, their reason, their story? How do you do that? Any tips? Ask questions that they can answer. Good. Yeah. Yeah, I think as I dig into it, I realize I am trying to find connection and commonality. And so that does require me to say something about myself. But also, if I love that one, Wendy, if we can ask more open-ended questions, they can talk more about themselves. In a seminar in Atlanta, the presenter was talking about in the 80s, he was a talk show host, and a billionaire had asked him to go on a balloon ride. And now I forgot who the guy was. Who was this guy? Huh. I mean, it's a name we would know. But he said, "Why are you inviting me?" And he says, "Oh, we just thought you were such a delightful person." And he realized I said nothing about me. You know, I said nothing. They don't know anything about me. All I did was interview him and ask him questions. And somehow that translated to me being invited to go on this billionaire's balloon ride, and ended up having a catered lunch and just an amazing experience. And that was a life lesson for him. And I think it's a good life lesson for us to make sure we don't spend too much time in order to build a connection or commonality with someone, that we spend too much time talking about ourselves. And I think these are good tips. Look, for me, the biggest tip here is just get in my head and manage my own, processes of leading a discussion, to make sure I don't spend too much time talking about me, but enough that they feel like they could get to know me. And I know that can be a challenge. So here's another one I wrote down for this morning. Do you think that all presentations should be the same? No. So all presentations should not be the same. Like I put down, check your ego and your excitement at the door, or online, or wherever that is, and learn some flexibility or have some flexibility. Okay. Why are not all presentations the same? Why should not all presentations be the same? So what's different? What's the variable then? Right, Rachel, that's it. Not all people are the same, so we don't have the same presentation. I kind of like to shift my head right where Rachel is here and talk more about helping people than listing property. I think representing someone is a higher order bit than listing a property. Listing a property sounds like something out of the 90s that we were all taught to do. And I think we're better off talking about representing someone who's a person and what they want and their objectives. So yeah, every person is different. Every client is different. Thanks, Sally, Cindy, every transaction person different. Yep. Personalities are also different. So we could have maybe the same situation that's come up before, but the personality and the way they communicate is different. So good observation. Don's got it right. Yeah. Jill, good goals. I guess you guys are reading the same chats I am. So really good comments, you guys. So remember that everyone's a little different. So I'm going back to, is Kim Phipps on or not? She turned us on to a YouTube, and I cannot remember. It's in my book somewhere. I don't think I have time to find it, but she had turned us on to a gal that her whole speech was about the incredible stories that people have, like their life journey, their own story. And she goes,
I'm on, Will.
You are on. Do you remember who
that? Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks. Hey, look, everyone, another person who is showered. Woohoo!
Not to the office yet, but I'm on my way.
Okay, yeah. Nice. What was the name of that lady who gave the talk about the story? Remember, she talked about the taxi driver and just getting to know him, and who was that?
I remember, but you're asking a question that I cannot give you. I've
Okay.
I've slept since then, Will. Like I don't remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I'll find it, but the big takeaway there is, my goodness, if you don't ask about people, you're never going to find out their story. And everyone has such an amazing story. Maybe this is the plane in life I'm on right now, the thing that life is teaching me. I look at all your faces. I know a little bit about each one of you. And what I know about you, your own life story is incredible. You know, the journey that just what I know. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think we should be absolutely, intrigued and inspired to ask people about their journey and where they're going. And most of the time, but not every time, right? Because not everyone's the same. The presentation to help represent someone is this journey of getting to know where they've come from, where they are today, and where they want to go, right? And that incorporates this whole life story and life journey. And the better we are at asking questions about that, I think the better we connect, the better we're authentic, we can build trust, and we find out what really is driving all these endeavors about, selling a property or, acquiring a new one and what have you, all wrapped up into what we call presentation. So any tips on that or comments about that is in finding out people's story and where they've come from? Does that help you? Do you agree with that? So yeah, good answer, Sherry. Linda, to connect to convert is how they feel valued. Right. Right. I mean, what do we have? 8 billion humans on this planet, and every one of them have had a different, unique journey. And yeah, Paige is saying, teach my kids, you have 2 ears, 1 mouth, so listen twice as much as you talk. Very good. Very good. It's a good reminder. Our mentors from generations past, I think, have tried to make sure we learn that one. I think what this story was that this taxi driver had this amazing story about coming from Galkim. I want to say it was Afghanistan, and here he is in New York, and he's like, yes, my family is still there. I'm trying to earn enough money. Is this the right story? I think it's something really inspiring about how he's trying to get his family there. Maybe it was mom and sister or something like that also. And she was so inspired by this story, and then thought to herself, if I never would have asked, I would have just had a taxi ride to the hotel. But instead, I found out about somebody who really inspired me and reminded me about how a lot of people are on their own journey, and their journey is really important to them, and their objectives that they're working for, their goals are important to them. And she would have missed it if she hadn't asked, and I think that was the takeaway. Recently, I was presenting to some folks that are thinking about joining Berkshire Hathaway. Some of this is sensitive and confidential because I don't want to hurt them in any sort of a way. So we'll keep it that way. We'll keep it confidential. But I wanted to share that I went out to speak to some folks, and gosh, I was there 4.5 hours. And it was really, really amazing to get to know them. I'm really inspired by their own story, and where they've come from and where they are today and where they're going. And I think selfishly, I'd love to work with them. I hope Berkshire is a place for them, but it's a bigger decision than me, right? And I think we could take that same approach when we go into these listing presentations, right? With these marketing presentations. It's bigger than me. It's very arrogant, I think, to approach something like, as long as I nail my presentation, right, then everyone's going to list with me. It's bigger than that. And I think we need to leave people some freedom to make a choice, and not paint this thing like, if you don't, list with Berkshire Hathaway, then that's a bad decision, and we can get overexcited sometimes about these things. And I think we should put it in its place, to empower people to make their own decision. Okay, so as it were, there's another option, right? Another company. And isn't it tempting sometimes to say something you know that's negative about the competition? Because you do know, look, you know comparisons. I mean, you guys are smart. You know what other companies in your marketplace offer and what they don't offer. Ever been tempted to say something negative about the competition? And I'm not saying be dishonest, because we could just call it truth also. We could be truthfully negative. Tempted, yes. So what I did instead is talked about how great they were on the good things they do. And it was hard to do. I have to admit, like I'm confessing right now, it's really hard. It was hard to say, yeah, you know what? They do this really well. They also do this really well. And I actually know this person. It's one of my favorite people. And, you know, I have a history with this person, and they're really good at a lot of things. But I think that's the best way, guys. I get that there's contrast to things they could ask. They did ask about some fee differences, and I said, well, this is what I know. You know, this is what I know. Look, all of this experience that I have, I meet people who we may want to bring on and join Brookshire, is very akin to a marketing presentation. It's about as close as you're going to get without them being a buyer or a seller. It's an agent that we hope to serve, and we find someone we really like that we think is a culture fit. We're trying to do everything we can to bring them into the family because we think we can help them, right? That's the motivation. We believe we can help them. I sure wish I could change the word recruiting. I don't really, I think it's fine, but it's not, our objective is never to recruit someone, nor should our objective be to just list property, right? I mean, I get that we would be, and I get that we do bring people on to Brookshire, but that's not the motivation. The motivation is to help someone, to solve a problem that they have, and to help bring them to where they want to go. And that's what's driving us, you know? So I think there should always be a space there to allow people to make a decision on, are we the best fit for them on what they see? They know themselves better than anybody else, and we have to respect that, right? Yeah, I sure would. We do go trying to find talent, Paige, and acquire talent where we can. And we have some amazing people that have just joined us. Some of them are on the call right now. And I'm very inspired by their own journey and where they are and where they can go. And I believe that Brookshire is the best place for a committed professional to grow their business. I do believe that. Just like you are going to believe that this is the best place for a seller to list their property and to market their property through us. And so we just temper some of these things, right? Focus on what's best for them. Then I think everything works out. And that's not what's being taught by a lot of coaches, say, in the industry. You know, it's like there's a close. You know what I mean? Like get to a point where you close someone. I don't like that is who we are. I'm aware of it. I think, you know, communication and questions can come off being what you would call a close. Like, you know, would you rather have the property on the market this week or next? Is probably a close. It's actually called an alternate close. But I think if it's done with real intent and heartfelt intent, it's a legitimate question. You know? And so maybe the intent is the difference maker. You hear me say this a lot about getting your mind right before you go into presentations. Any comments on this? I'm going to jump into the first segment of data before I do that. Any comments or any of this from our panel that's here?
I will. This Paige.
Hi, Paige.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're talking about closing and relationships and presentations. I have a client yesterday, well, 2 days ago, called me and asked me if I could go water her plants because she's been out of town helping her daughter down in California. And so I went to her house. Of course, they locked the garage door into the house. So then I said, you know, you could FedEx me a key and I could do it. And so she FedEx me a key. And then I went over yesterday and watered all her plants and mowed her lawn. They've been gone for 2 weeks. This time of year is crazy with the weeds and stuff. And so she is so grateful. And, you know, I think like when you said closing is what made me think of this, is we're not closing a relationship. We're just closing on that particular deal, but continuing the relationship.
Nice. Hey, Paige, I got a house that I can't seem to get to the backyard, you know, and the grass and I'm just no, you're a good man. Hey, if you guys don't know Paige Siglin, he's one of our top agents in the Ogden market, works Weaver County and Davis County and all up around Pineview and things like that. So yeah, he's a great guy, good friend. He's been, I'll tell you what, Paige is, his gift is gratitude. I get a lot of gratitude messages from Paige, and my thought is that he's like that, not just with me, but with everyone in his life. And that's his ace card. And it's a good reminder to all of us to just, if you think something positive about someone, share it, because gratitude internally though is nice, but express gratitude has a lot of power. And
thank you, Will. I appreciate that.
yeah, it's true, Paige. I appreciate your friendship. Yeah, I mean, these relationships move on. Remember, we talked about the things we don't want to say anymore. Past client is one of them. You know, we're forever agents, not we don't have past exes. You know, we have ex clients. We don't have past clients. We have forever relationships. And clearly, Paige is committed to his relationships that he has. And others on this call are really good at that too. And I commend you for that. You know, any other comments before I go to the first graph?
Will, I do.
Yeah.
And I'm showered.
Yay, Jill shower too. Congratulations.
I approach future clients when I'm doing listing presentations. I leave with a comment to them that even if they choose to go a different direction, I will always be there for them. I will always support them, help them any way I can. And it makes them feel a little bit at ease if they know they're interviewing other brokerages, that I'm okay. You know, I just want them to know I'm there for them. And I approach the same when I'm interviewing potential agents. I tell them, you know, if this isn't a fit or you're not comfortable here, or you feel like a different direction is better for you, I will still be here to help you if you need it. And it makes a huge impact to people because they're not expecting that.
Yeah, really, really good point. And I do practice what I preach, or try to, guys. This is exactly what we did yesterday. I can't tell you all the details of this yet, but there are options, and we really do want this group to join us. And I keep saying whatever's best is going to happen. You know why? Because everyone's involved in this just wants the best for everyone. And I said, no matter what happens, whether it stays the same or you go a different direction or join us, we're always going to have a good relationship. That is what wins the day, and that we can all hang our hat on. And she says to me, well, in her way of saying it, she goes, well, amen to that, Will, amen to that. And Jill's right. And I think that that's a good space to be in. The opposite of that is desperation by a salesperson. And it does not build trust. It's very uncomfortable. And so I think if we flip that on its head, we get another contrast about why that principle is so good. Okay, so, all right, let's take a look at this data. And this is from the NAR survey of buyer homes and buyer sellers. And this is the question: number of agents contacted before selecting one to assist in the sale of a home. So how many people did they reach out to? These are our age groups. So over here is 70 to 90. We have our 35 and younger. So here's the 1, 2, 3. So what do we learn from this graph here? What can we, by the way, there's there's something you hear me say about statistics, okay? So you've heard, matter of fact, Steve Roney said this. He said, if content is king, context is God. What he's trying to say is wisdom has to be explained with inside of data. Otherwise, people don't get it. All right. They want your translation of why it matters. If you don't understand the why, then it doesn't matter. It's just data. Okay. Your professional view of numbers and data is the why and the wisdom. And when you express that, you express the context. Okay. And the context is what's winning. So anytime you post something about data, always remember that principle, that wisdom is why it matters. And that's what they want from you. Okay. So what we learned from this graph is that 2/3 of the time, they're only contacting one person, right? So only one person. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Sally, do you want to explain that? Come off mute, and we are actually, yeah, go ahead. Here, I'll stop sharing.
We're competing with data. Can you hear me?
Yep, got you clear.
We're competing with data, not necessarily with another agent. So our public face is really important. Even though they may only contact one, they've probably contacted or at least looked at other agents' information.
Yes. So I think so that's exactly what this graph is saying. The competition for the listing is really happening way before the appointment. Okay, so build relationships with people by helping them. And what Sally is saying is we're competing against, so is our data and our presentation of data and statistics of market, for example, is it getting to our people? You know, is it getting to our center of influence? Is it getting to our clients that we've had in the past, not past clients, but is it getting to them? And is our interpretation of this data simple? And does it have some wisdom behind it so it makes sense and why it matters? If that is happening, then we are winning the competition for the listing before the appointment. And that's exactly what this graph is showing. So here's the takeaway, right? The competition is happening before the actual marketing presentation or listing presentation. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So this screams marketing and staying in touch. Okay, so what I'm saying here is to tie this into your strategies and your goals. So we had strategy 1, 2, 3. To go back and kind of jog your memory a little bit, we're either going to create better relationships with people we already know, or we're going to build new relationships. But all of our tactics and our strategies to build a business are under that. I have to add with heartfelt intent here, right, guys? Strategies are not intended just to get you what you want. Our strategies are there to design to help you be more effective in helping people get what they want. Okay, graph number 2. Let's look at why sellers sell. Okay, so here's your, again, age groups 35 to 70. What can we learn from this? Too small, job location, closer to family, friends, change in family situation, neighborhood, home too small. What's the takeaway? What do you think? Anyone want to weigh in of our panel? You can go off mute. Yeah. Yeah, we're all over the board in these life changes. You're hitting the mark here. I mean, changes happen. Change is the common thing. Yes, change happens. Whether you're, say you're older and the house is too big, or you're younger, the house is too small. Growing family, or you moved away and now you want to move back. But the common thing here is change, and so let's go down to our takeaway. Yeah, the fact that change is the commonality between all of the answers to this. So, think about, let me stop sharing for a second. See, that's a good question to ask people. What's changed? What's changed for you? Can you explain that to me? Why is that important? You might notice people having life change, and that might spur, a housing need. maybe even jokingly say, hey, congratulations on the twins. Wow, back-to-back twins. I actually know someone who's now had back-to-back twins. 2 pregnancies, 4 kids. Wow. Yeah. So, you might jokingly say, so, we do have a few 5-bedroom houses on the market right now. If you're interested. Let's go look, let's go shopping. Okay, so back to screen share. Okay. So that's our takeaway, is that change happens across all the demographics of age. So, okay, now we are on page 93, you guys, or did I skip ahead? 94, we're on 94. Okay. So this is method used to find an agent. Okay, so let's take a look at this and see if we can get a takeaway from this. So referred by family, neighbor, used agent previously, internet. Okay, look at how fast we drop off. So they were referred or is a family, neighbor, or relative. Jill, I wonder how many of your, former clients, what did we just say we're going to call past clients? I can't get my lingo
Forever
right.
clients.
Our forever clients. How many of your forever clients still call you a friend? I hope a lot of them.
A lot.
So they're probably in this group, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. It's where the majority of my business comes from.
That's true, I think, for a lot of you guys, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what is our takeaway here? Nobody? So building positive relationship is simply the way to build profitable real estate business. So, and I think if you want to get down the weeds a little bit here, just remember to serve people from a real estate standpoint. Give them what they need from a real estate standpoint. They all own real estate as an investment. So help them with that investment. What is its current value? What's going on with their taxes? What is the cost to carry? This came up yesterday in a conversation. If you paid cash for a property, what is the cost to carry? Are there ways to lower the cost of carrying the property? I'm talking about taxes, landscaping, maintenance, cleaning, HOA fees. What is the cost of carry? And analyzing cost to carry might be a good way for you to help serve people that own real estate. And I just think it's interesting that it's pretty much 2/3 of the time it's someone that they know. And so that's, again, where the battlefront is. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Did the seller use the same agent again? This is interesting. So if it's someone they know, did they use the same agent as they did before? What do you think? So, okay, so blue is yes, red is no. And is it dropping off in some age categories? Perhaps they moved out of town. Here, because look at the 61 to 70, they are not using the same agent. Does it make you wonder if the agents are staying in touch? So move up buyers seem most likely use the same agent. So is that true? Yep, same, move up, same agent. Downsizing, maybe not. So take a look at how you're staying in touch, your stay in touch campaigns. Also, how to win a client in 7 days is in a segment in the coaching manual you could take a look at and look at your strategies and tactics. Okay. Okay, now we're on some tips on the art of building relationships. Let me pause for a second. So what do you think are some specific things that we could do to help build relationships with people that we already know? What can we do? I'm ready to write it down. I'm ready. Teach me. What specific thing could I do to build a relationship with people I already know? Anyone? Okay, good.
There's a lot of things, Will.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, I mean, you're writing them cards, thank you notes, taking them coffee, going places with them, asking if they need any help with anything, checking on their children, how's their grandparents doing, remembering those things, those personal things about your past clients. And just following up with them because, life goes on and you had a client 3 years ago, but now they have 2 more children. And, just staying in touch is a really, really key factor to all of it. Even if you're not asking for anything, you just are genuinely caring for them.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
There's a lot of agents out there. There's a lot of us out there. And it's, very competitive, but what do we need to do to stand out from everyone else beside having our company backing us with all the amazing things that we have, offering things that most agents won't do or care about.
Yeah.
That's where you lose the connection with your clients when you stop staying in connection with them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Podcast yesterday, it was Simon Sinek. He had said he did a real estate transaction and he got a mortgage, and the loan officer called him to congratulate him on moving into his new place. And he said, it was great. I really like this guy. And then at the end of the conversation, he said, okay, now don't forget to refer me. And Simon says, at that moment, I realized the reason he was calling me was not about my house and me being in the home. And it was really all about to remind me to refer him something so that he could get something from me. And he goes, do you think I'm going to refer him? Am I more or less likely? He says, no. He says, I was disappointed. He goes, and now Simon Sinek he studies us, people, sociologist. Is that the proper term? Is that proper term? Yeah. So he studies, human communities and working together and how we all are. And, but look, I grew up, this 31 years in real estate. You know how many coaches told me never forget to ask people for a referral, never forget to have a closing and say, don't forget to refer me. So I was taught this, and I think that there's a place for it. It's not every place. Like Jill said, we're not helping them with a condition or, this is about me. I'm just helping them to help them. It's like the more you want a listing and you show that, I think the less likely you are to get it in some ways. If the more likely you are to help someone, the more likely you are to get a listing. That's the weird dynamic about this. I think it's just putting first things first. Unfortunately, we put the first thing way down the line, and the first thing we put up there is my listing. I want to go get a listing so I can have a sale. I can appreciate that, the hard work, the discipline of the sales process. I get it, but it can rub people wrong if we're not genuine and our intent is not to help them. So you got to check our heart, right?
Hey, Will, I was going to also mention, it's so stressful for our clients now, even, on both sides of things. And I can see it and I can feel it. And so I will give my clients hour massages, just to get them to relax a little bit while the process goes through. And it makes a huge difference.
Wait, you're doing these massages or you're paying someone to do the massage?
I'm paying to have them get a massage.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure, because you said you were giving them a massage.
Well, yeah, no, like rubbing their shoulders while we're talking. No, I'm not doing that. But just, little things like that, because, they're extremely stressed out on both sides, they, and you can tell. Also, offering to host a neighborhood going away party for them. And then when they move into their new house, hosting a housewarming party. They're little things that you can do that a lot of agents won't do, that make you stand out because you really care and you want them to have a good experience and you want to meet their friends and family. And, You know, it's a really good opportunity to build your business without that selfishness behind it, because you really want to do something for them.
Yeah. I love that. So what is the right answer? Should I always ask for a referral? No. So I don't know. Why don't we all, now, never mind. There's some coaches that get this wrong. That's all I'm saying. You know, I just think they get it wrong. Although I appreciate it. And I do think there's a place for it. You know, I don't want anyone to ever think that you guys don't want the referrals either. You know, I think it's the way you communicate it. I think it's the intent and how you communicate it. But we're not calling to congratulate. It's like, okay, we don't do a housewarming party because we want the leads from their friends.
Right.
We do the housewarming party because we're just excited that they have a new home, right? That's why we do it. And I'm telling you, people can tell the difference.
Right.
Right. They can tell the difference.
You don't have to ask for the referrals if they have a great experience. You don't have to ask for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So down on page 98, by the way, Lisa, do you have a manual? No, you do not? Okay. Wendy? Okay, I hope everybody's got one here. I'll come back to Sandy's question in just a second. There's, I think there's 6 principles to relationships, and we've talked about some of them already. And so if you don't have a manual, here they are. Number 1 is to be grateful. So it's gratitude for the relationship, and I think it's expressed, right? So also gratitude is everything. It's the half full. You know, we're noticing the good things about relationship. We all have a lot of different relationships, right? We got brothers, sisters, cousins, neighbors, workmates, spouses, partners. We've got all kinds of different relationships. So, but if we're not grateful for what they are and who they are first, then we can be overly critical, right? Clients are the same way. We could be grateful for a client. Not every client is easy to love, right? Some of them, it takes a little bit of effort. It's, you know, but we got to be grateful for what they are and not critical about what they are not. Number 2 is to be honest. So, and I have a view of honesty. I think honesty is truth, but not everything that is true should be said. You know, because I think sometimes that is hurtful. I think this goes on about once a week with my wife. She'll say something like, my hair, you know, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's not the best it's looked ever, but I'm not going to say that. She's beautiful no matter what her hair looks like, right? And that's the truth, right? That I can say, but I don't need to say, well, yeah, you've had better hair days or something. That's not good. You know, we do have, from a context also of the law, remember, agency and fiduciary duties also weigh in on being honest and what's best for the relationship above what's best for us. The next one is to be loyal. Number 3 is to be loyal. Incidentally, another fiduciary duty is loyalty. But think about loyalty in the context of real estate. I mean, generally speaking, agents move around. And I think that's hard on them, and it's hard on the relationships that they sever. Because the longer you can show loyalty, I think the deeper your roots go, and the more opportunities open up over time, but you've got to be patient for that. Loyalty takes patience. But loyalty is a big deal because it's a magnet for people. They want to do something for you when they know you're loyal to them. Because the opposite is also true. If they know you're not loyal, then what, right? If we look at the context of the buyer-seller, put those glasses on, certainly we want to show our loyalty to them above all things, right? Okay. And that is a magnet for them, right? When we're loyal to them. Number 4 is to listen. And this is the listen more intently with the focus to understand, not to reply. Number 5 is to forgive. Buyers and sellers will do things that they probably shouldn't have done. They didn't know, we just say, bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. They did not know. It's okay. And we move on. And that's called forgiveness. We don't make mountains out of molehills, right? So what about a client who their children used another real estate agent? It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. So maybe that's a little bit of forgiveness. I mean, there's worse things in the world, right? And the last one, number 6, is perform. And this one's a little odd because the rest of them kind of are in the same family, but this one's like, oh, perform. Well, and this is where I think we never hide the fact we're a real estate professional. Don't come in back doors. We're a real estate professional. We should be proud of that. That's what we do. Okay, so we don't hide that, minimize it, throw under the rug. There was an old sales tactic with for sale by owners, and went something like this: you contact a for sale by owner, you tell them you have a buyer. Can I come see the property? Okay, the agent doesn't have a buyer. All right, it's not honest, and I don't like that. I think it's no. The reason I'm contacting a for sale by owner is because I think I may have the resources and tools to help you net a better experience and a better dollar amount, but I don't know that yet. But that is why I'm coming to meet you. I don't come in because I have a buyer and then hope to get to know them and then say, oh yes, I would like to list your property. That's not honest, and I don't think it's who we are. And so we want to perform our role. I do expect my dentist to be a dentist, my CPA to be a CPA. I don't expect them to be something not the role they play in my life, right? And I expect my friends to be friends. When my friends are not friends, what does that do to the relationship? If friends don't act like friends, what does that do? When my real estate professional doesn't act like a real estate professional, what does that do? It changes the dynamic of the relationship. So I think that's an interesting one. And from a fiduciary standpoint, that's reasonable care and diligence. It's reasonable care. If we put our fiduciary, I can't help it, right? I'm going to look at things from a law perspective, but performance in a relationship from a real estate standpoint is reasonable care and diligence. So that's how I look at relationship. If you have a teenager and they're struggling with relationships, you could help them with these things. This is really good, Yeah. Okay. Even a 12-year-old. I was talking to someone the other day who's got 12-year-old girls and boys, and oh my goodness, they're just not fully developed humans yet. So the way they go about their relationships are interesting, and they could be challenging. I raised 4 daughters, you guys. I think you know that. And those middle school and high school years were really tough because of the relationships with friends. A lot of times friends do things and say things they shouldn't do. Of course, I'm sure my daughters did over and over again, which we made them aware of. But, we also have to forgive ourselves, right? So I just think that's an interesting thing about the fundamentals of relationship. Anyone have any take on that? Or any other thoughts? %100% agree? Okay, good. Well, I'm gonna go back to Sandy's question. Sandy, are you still on? What do we do about this? How do we get, let's say we had a great experience with a client and, hugs all around at closing, and it was just a marvelous, fulfilling experience. And you're thinking, Google reviews are really important because some people are shopping online and they don't know me from anyone. And it would kind of be nice if I had a nice positive review. Do I bring this up? Do I ask? How do I do this? Any thoughts, you guys? How do I bring this up? Come on, you must have an answer. Rachel Moody's going to definitely have an answer to this. How do I get a good Google review out of a great experience from a client? How do I do it that doesn't sound salesy? How do I do this that's authentic, that I've got intent, that I value the relationship more than the Google review? Well, how do I walk this line? Oh my gosh.
Are you wanting me to talk?
I do.
So recently I've been trying 6 ways from Sunday to bring up our Google reviews. So we've actually got them embedded on our in QR codes and our thank you cards.
Okay.
So I have a thank you card that we've printed, and then I'd love a 5-star review with QR codes for people. So it's a subtle way of asking in my thank you card, right?
Subtle.
But then also when someone gives me a compliment and we're at the end and I was like, I do genuinely ask. I was like, well, would you be willing to help give me a review? And when I know that they really will, but then you have to send them the links. If you don't send them the links, they're not going to do it. They're very, very rarely will. So I'll just send them directly from Zillow and realtor.com for them to fill out a review. But then we also I can send them an email with a link straight to our Google page as well.
When you ask someone to help you, Joan Pate does this too, you guys. Notice how Rachel said, would you help me? And here's what I could see when you were saying that, Rachel. I could see how much you helped them for weeks and months.
Years sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes years. Rachel definitely is one of those agents. By the way, if you don't know Rachel Moody, she is the top agent in Moab and has a team there. And I think she's a lifer in Moab. Am I right? Are you born and raised there?
No, I was born and raised in Salt Lake City. I came here when I was 21 though. So I've been here for 25 years.
Ah, got it. Okay. So you bettered your life and moved to Moab.
It did.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It did it.
I think, because look, how do I get this message right? This is a tough message. I think this complexity here. On one hand, we're saying, gosh, did Will tell me never call someone up and say, hey, don't forget to refer me? And that would just destroy the whole thing. And here we have QR codes on a thank you note. You know what wins the day? Think about what wins the day. This is it. When I see Rachel, I guarantee you guys, she's gone way above and beyond. She's exceeded the expectation. Okay, I know these stories. I know that she's gone over and she's helped with, wet carpets that got flooded and brought the heaters in and fixed this and fixed that and vacuumed when it needed to be done and had handymen go in and just fix things. And she went above and beyond and she's helped. And so when she comes across and says, gosh, would you mind helping me? These people are you kidding me? I've been thinking about what could I do more than pay you? I'm already paying you, but I want to do more than that. And I think that would win the day, because all of those other smaller events came with no condition. That's the difference. They didn't come with a contingency. I'm only doing this for a Google review, right? I'm doing this. She's already proven that. Now, if you take away the exceeding expectation and insert the Google review, and that's all you have, we're doing it wrong. We could do it better. How about that? Not wrong, but better. We could do it better. But when you exceed expectation prior to the request for help, you're doing it the better way. You guys get the difference? Okay. And the reason why Rachel can put QR codes for Google review on thank you notes is because she's exceeding the expectation without condition many, many times prior to the note going out. Okay. See, I knew we'd get a gem, Rachel. I knew it. I knew we'd get a gem. And there it is. Sandy, did that help you? Sandy, you still there? Sandy's very active on social media, gets a lot of referrals that way, stays in touch with her SOI well. And so recently I saw a video that she did. I was very impressed. And of course she was overly critical and I thought it was perfect. I thought it was very authentic and real, and I thought she did a great job. So, okay, what do we got? Oh, geez, we're just about out of time. I think the rest of page 98, I think we've talked about. Let me just, I'm making sure. Things to consider is be the first one to identify a potential seller. I think it's really be the first one to have a relationship with potential seller. And that's what we learned from that one of those graphs there, the first graph, I think. We're listening carefully to concerns. One takeaway from this recent presentation that I made to this group is how fluid it was. That it didn't have to be structured, and if it was not structured, it was not scripted, and therefore more authentic and believable. See the difference? So marketing presentations don't have a beginning and an end other than what is needed for that particular person. Okay, we don't march through page 1, then 2, 4, 5, and all that, right? Okay. Another takeaway here is remember to speak with why and wisdom, which is also akin to speaking the language of benefit. Our sellers are buying the benefit of what we do, not what we do. I'll say that again. Our sellers are buying the benefit of what we do, not what we do. So make sure you make the translation as to why it matters. So how does this help me sell faster? Removing the hassle. How does this thing you do help me net more? How does this thing you do help me get a higher sales price? How does this thing you do help me have a better chance of selling? If we're not talking about those things, then we need to change and better our communication. And don't expect them to get it, okay? All right, well, wow, another good segment has come to an end because the time is up. Do me a favor and tell me in the chat, there's about 40 of us today. Oh, I lost 10 people. I just lost it. It must have been, what? What did I say? Lisa's laughing at me. We had 40 people, and now we're down to 30. But if you 30 want to tell me what you learned today is your number one takeaway, it's very helpful for me. Could you put that in the chat real quick? Don't take it personal. Okay. Kathy McFarland, I'd love to hear from you. And how are you up there in Eden? And Raquel, I'd love to hear from you. Hillary, Michael, Jacqueline, Kelly. Yeah, put it in the chat there. You know, Angie put in there, express gratitude has power. And if Paige Siglin's really, really good at expressing gratitude, and it was a competition between Angie and Paige, I'd say that'd be a close race, folks. We would need video evidence on that one because Angie's very good at that.
Well, that's what this is where you're preaching gratitude. That's what this whole thing's about, right?
Yeah, very true, Paige. Okay, thanks for the takeaways, you guys. I appreciate that. Good. I like Soshi's comments there. Well, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. Very proud to work with you. Call me anytime for help. Happy to help you. Oh, hey, Lauren. Hey, good to see you. And thanks for the nice email the other day. I appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Lauren had a challenging situation. We marched through it and we crossed the finish line a few days ago. So it was nice to see.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Paige.
I had to take a call. I just tuned back in talking about the QR code on the thank you cards. Can you just tell me what that was real quick?
Yeah, so Rachel was kind of laughing at the fact that she's been pretty bold about getting the Google review. So she put the link on how to do that on a thank you card. And I think I can totally endorse that as long as you're exceeding expectation without condition prior to asking. Okay. If you're not exceeding expectation prior to asking, then you're only asking for your own benefit. And I think this is where this marriage of complexity is really tough to understand and communicate for us because we've been taught to just ask anyway, right? regardless. And it does can come off all about us. And that's what we're trying to shed and evolve away from a little better, right? So in the same time, we're very aware of the businesses and how our business work, our process of lead generation. And the Google reviews are very important for us. So I think when we ask for help and phrase it that way, I'd say, Paige, would you mind helping me with something? Because you and I have had a long relationship, I know you would help me, and I feel comfortable asking you. And you know I'm not doing it just because you know that our relationship isn't built on you helping me. Because we've already had a long history of helping each other without condition. Okay. And now it's okay to ask. And I think it's right to ask. In absence of you asking, your business won't do as well as it could. So we do, unfortunately, need to have these Google reviews. And I think it's a fair thing to ask.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, and Joe put in a QR code generator that's easy to generate a link from. You just type the URL, UAR. You type the URL into the QR code generator, and it will spit out an image for you. And hey, Linda, good to see you again. And you know, our office in St. George, which is where Linda is right now, beautiful place. That's the backdrop there for her. And Linda's one of our agents in our St. George office. So, it was good to see you yesterday. I'm now up in the cold, missing you guys. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll go ahead and hit end on our recording there, Joe.